At some point in your life, you probably tried one of these. A challenge, a reset, a clear decision that this version of you was finally going to be different from the one before. 30 days, 75 days, a strict number that promised structure, control, and a sense of direction. You told yourself that this time it was serious, not symbolic, not emotional, serious. And for a while it worked. You woke up earlier than usual, even on days when your body resisted. You followed the rules exactly as they were written, without negotiating with yourself. You checked boxes, tracked progress, and felt something you hadn't felt in a long time. Clarity. Your days felt organized instead of chaotic, predictable instead of random, intentional instead of reactive. For the first time in a long while, your life felt like it was moving forward in a straight line. But then something happened. Not a collapse, not a dramatic failure, not a moment you could point to and say this is where it went wrong. It just started fading, quietly, slowly, almost politely. What makes this experience confusing is how common it is. Different people, different backgrounds, different challenges, but almost always the same result. A strong beginning, a brief peak, and then a gradual return to the old normal. And almost everyone reacts the same way. They don't question the challenge itself. They question themselves. Maybe I lack discipline. Maybe I am not consistent enough. Maybe other people are just built differently. Those conclusions feel reasonable, honest, responsible, but they are pointing in the wrong direction. What if the problem was never your motivation, your willpower, or your character? What if the problem was the entire structure of self-improvement challenges? Challenges feel powerful for a very specific psychological reason. Not because they change who you are, not because they unlock hidden strength. They feel powerful because they radically simplify your life. Clear rules, clear boundaries, clear expectations. Difficult questions disappear. You wake up knowing there is only one acceptable option. Follow the rules. That certainty matters more than people realize, because your brain does not crave growth. It craves predictability. Uncertainty costs energy. Decisions cost energy. Rules remove all of that friction, and that relief feels exactly like progress. But relief is not transformation. A challenge does not rebuild your life. It temporarily replaces it. It creates an artificial environment where complexity is removed. It is like staying in a hotel. You do not deal with clutter or history. And while you are there, life feels easier. Not because you changed, but because the environment changed. But environments like that are temporary by design. When you leave, your real life is still waiting, with the same triggers and the same habits. This is where the biggest misunderstanding happens. Most people believe challenges train discipline, but discipline was never the skill being trained. What was trained was obedience. Obedience to external rules. When the rules disappear, the behavior disappears with them. Not because you failed, not because you became lazy, but because nothing underneath was ever rewired. This leads to the most damaging part of the process. The conclusion you quietly make afterward. I can start things, but I can never maintain them. That belief does not arrive loudly. It settles slowly. Each failed attempt reduces self-trust a little more. Starting again feels heavier than before. Change begins to feel temporary, like something you visit, not something you live inside. And this is where something subtle but important happens. Over time, you stop trusting gradual change. You stop believing that slow improvement is real improvement. If it does not feel intense or difficult, it starts to feel meaningless. Your brain begins to associate growth with pressure. You begin to believe that real change is supposed to hurt. Small adjustments feel too simple to matter. Environmental fixes feel insignificant. Early signs of burnout are ignored. Challenges teach you to ignore sustainability. They reward intensity instead of continuity. You begin designing life around short bursts of control, instead of long-term stability. This is why so many people feel stuck in cycles. They are not failing to improve. They are repeatedly resetting. Resetting feels productive and decisive. But resets do not accumulate. They erase. But resets do not accumulate. With the same friction and triggers. Progress does not come from restarting your life. It comes from staying inside it long enough to understand it. Challenges protect you from self-awareness. Rules keep you busy. Understanding slows you down. Momentum without direction is just movement. Movement without awareness creates exhaustion. Real change does not ask for intensity. It asks for attention. Attention to what feels normal. Attention to what you repeat without thinking. Your life is shaped by ordinary days, not heroic ones. Challenges stop looking like solutions. They start looking like distractions. Not useless, but incomplete. Structure without understanding. Control without adaptation. Order without ownership. Ownership is what makes change last. Ownership of pace and environment. This kind of change is quiet. It does not announce itself, but it lasts. So why do people keep coming back to challenges? Because challenges offer clarity when life feels overwhelming. They offer simple answers instead of difficult questions. Following rules feels safer than understanding yourself, especially when you are already exhausted. But real change does not arrive through intensity. It does not arrive through pressure or heroic effort. Real change arrives when something becomes normal. What feels normal to tolerate, repeat, ignore. Your life does not improve because you survived 75 days. It improves when better choices stop feeling special. Because when something truly changes, it stops feeling like effort. It becomes default. Challenges make change feel dramatic. Real change feels quiet, almost invisible. Because when it finally works, you stop noticing it. It is no longer a challenge. It is simply how you live.